healing in isolation. You've made the decision to break cycles, to grow, to heal. However, instead of feeling supported, you feel alone. Maybe the people around you don't understand your journey. Maybe they even dismiss it. And that hurts deeply. I want you to hear me. You are not alone, even when it feels that way. Healing can feel lonely. That does not mean you're on the wrong path. Today, we're going to explore why healing can be isolating, how to navigate relationships when others don't get it, and most importantly, how to find or create the support system you deserve. Take a deep breath. You're safe here, sis. Let's begin. Hello. We are jumping into a topic that is near and dear to my heart: why healing can feel lonely and how to change that. Healing requires growth, and growth means change. Not everyone in your life will be ready for the changes you're making. Old relationships may feel misaligned as you begin to prioritize your well-being. And that doesn't mean that you do not love these relationships and the people you're in these relationships with. It does happen, however, that family and friends or those in our communities may see your healing as a rejection of them rather than an act of self-love. How do we shift this? Recognize that loneliness is sometimes part of the transformation process. It's not permanent. It's an invitation to build new connections that align with your healed self. Let's talk about now navigating relationships with people who don't get it. It's so painful when loved ones don't understand your healing journey. However, their lack of understanding doesn't invalidate your growth. Some people fear change because really it forces them to take a look in the mirror and reflect on their own lives. So in these cases, what we can do, two things I recommend: set boundaries and detach from expectations. Setting boundaries is important because you don't need everyone's approval to heal. Learn to protect your peace while still honoring relationships that matter to you. And that is what boundaries do for you. They create this safe space for you. And when you're able to feel that entire space, that is when you won't let other ones come into that space with their negative thoughts and words and energies. And when they do, it doesn't affect you. And that's a big step. And that's not something that I expect you to do on your own. I am here to help you with that. However, I would love for you to just take a moment and picture what it would feel like to have this bubble that surrounds you, that you're actually taking up the entire space of, and not allowing others to enter into that space. And how you would show up as someone who fully shows up in their full space. I'm using full a lot, but I want you to feel that fullness. And that is just a little bit of what I would help you do when you work with me. Okay, back to the next step: detach from expectations. This is huge. Expectations can be really tricky and difficult, usually ending in disappointment. Instead, we can set an intention for ourselves, and that usually works out in our favor more times than not. Let me illustrate with this, okay? I am married and have 3 beautiful children. So we're a family of 5, and when we go on a road trip, there's chaos, usually. Now, if I was to go into this journey and expect this trip to be perfectly timed. Everyone uses the restroom exactly when it's appropriate. There's no extra stops that are made. No one's hungry until the appropriate time to be hungry when we make that appropriate stop. All the conversations I want to have with my husband are planned out in my head, and I expect them to happen. I also want quiet time for just me to get some work done on the road. I also want to read my book. I also want my kids not to fight, and I want everyone to enjoy the music at the right volume. That's a lot of expectations. And even if I went into this trip with just one of those expectations, chances are I would be disappointed. Now, instead, if I went into the trip with an intention, my intention is to have fun with my children and my husband and for us to connect. And as many different levels and as many different possible chances that we have, that is an intention. That's something I have control over, and that's something I can say I have the power to see and observe when those moments happen and they come up. So, which trip do you think I would enjoy more? Obviously, the intention, right? If we had to pull over on the side of the road because someone needs to take a potty break, I'm going to be making it funny and laughing the whole way. And if the conversation with my husband and I takes a turn in a different, unexpected way, I'm going to find ways in that conversation that we can connect. So that's just one example. I love using the road trip as an example of expectations versus intentions. And so when we think of this journey, when it comes to your healing journey, not everyone will meet you where you're at, and that's okay. Give them space to process what you're going through and give yourself permission to set an intention to continue anyways. Now, I want to really help you find ways that you can build a soul aligned support system, even if you're starting from scratch. This means being intentional about friendships. Surround yourself with people who uplift, understand, and inspire you. Allow yourself to express your feelings and allow them to listen and offer perspective so you can feel that feeling of being truly heard. Another amazing way to build your own support system is to invest in mentorship. Sometimes the right support comes from a coach or a therapist who has the ability to act as a guide, who has walked a similar path. Now, finding strength in your own energy and becoming your own safe space. This is something that I care so deeply about. Being able to have self-trust is key. Even when no one else validates your journey, you can validate yourself. And one way of doing that is putting in motion some daily rituals to support yourself. And that can be journaling, meditation, movement. These things can anchor you in your own power. And I remember one thing that really helped me, instead of just telling me to journal, my very own grief counselor gave me some ideas of what to journal about. I want to do the same thing for you. So I hope you have a pen. If not, pause and go grab one. I want to give you some things that you can journal about, because it's one thing for me to just say, go journal. It's another thing entirely when you know exactly why you're putting that pen to paper. So one of the first things you can do specifically about this topic is describe your ideal day spent entirely by yourself. From sunrising to sunset, what will you do? How will you spend your time with just you? Write it out. How can you make your home environment feel more inviting when you're by yourself? This is another thing that you can write out. Is it a cozy blanket in every corner of your house? You need more candles. Is it strategically placed reading material? Maybe it's keeping Epsom salt by the bathtub instead of under your sink. What will help you embrace your alone time? Write it down. What are you most afraid of when you're alone? This is a tough one sometimes, but it's so important to make a list. Make a list of the absolute worst case scenarios that make you hesitant to spend time alone. Is it that you're afraid you won't be productive? Are you afraid of memories of the past resurfacing? Are you worried about just the unknown? Well, write it down because we cannot heal what we do not acknowledge. Of course, the next writing prompt is gratitude journaling. And this one is real simple. Write down 5 things daily that you're grateful for. And this number 5 is so special. I have tried 3 and it feels like that comes pretty easily. 5, for some reason, getting those 4th and 5th ones written down really makes you think and really dig deep of what you are truly, truly grateful for. And having an accountability buddy to check in with and say, hey, I did it. Did you do yours? This is something that really can build a routine, a daily ritual. And the reason why gratitude is so important is because it helps us to be grateful for the things that we're observing. So, why is that important? Well, I want to play a little game with you if you're up for it. I want to help you see that giving attention to our observations is so important. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 20 seconds and you're going to look around your room right this moment and go ahead and find all the things that you can that are blue. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. Find everything you can that's blue. List them in your head. How many things can you find? I'm thinking that you can get a good amount in 20 seconds. Okay, so now that you've gotten them, grab all the last ones that you can and close your eyes. Now, with your eyes closed, don't open them, don't peek. I want you to list off all the things that are in the room you're in that are red. How many things can you think of? Okay, now open your eyes and look around and now really look for the red. Now, this is just an exercise to show you. You probably are finding much more red than what you were able to think of with your eyes closed. And if you need to choose different colors and try it again, I would love to hear in the comments what were your observations? Because our brain focuses on the thing we tell it to. And if we're telling our brain every day to focus on 5 things that we're grateful for, what do you think is going to happen? We are automatically going to be programming our brain to search for and observe more of the thing that we're telling it to. That is so cool. And I would love to hear if you've already experienced this in the past and if you plan on trying this. Another thing is reframing solitude as sacred. Instead of fearing isolation or alone time, use it as a time to connect deeply with yourself and your inner wisdom. If it helps, start little by little and increase the amount of time that you sit with yourself and with your thoughts. And this helps so that when you are in those moments of being alone, it becomes luxurious instead of scary. I want to share one story with you. Samantha, of course, names changed for privacy, began her healing journey after years of people pleasing and suppressing her true self. At first, she was excited, finally choosing herself, setting boundaries, prioritizing joy. But then the loneliness set in. Friends distanced themselves, family members made passive aggressive comments, and she started wondering whether it was really worth it. Here's what changed. Instead of seeing the isolation as punishment, she reframed it as a clearing, a necessary phase before bringing in aligned connections. She poured into herself, deepened her self-trust, going on walks on the beach by herself and little coffee dates by herself. And slowly, the right people started showing up. And really, her healing created this space for a new dear friend that she views as a sister, mentors, and deep inner peace. And I have to tell you, if you're in this phase, know that it's temporary. Just keep going. So let's do a recap. What we covered today was healing can feel lonely, but doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path. Some relationships will shift as you grow, and that is okay. You can create a soul-aligned support system by seeking community and being intentional about who you let into your space. The most powerful support you'll ever have, yourself. Learning to be your own safe space is a lifelong gift. Your healing is sacred, so keep going. If you enjoyed this episode and it resonated with you, let's stay connected. Like and subscribe to HealHer so you never miss an episode. Share this with a friend who needs to hear this message. Fill out my form for a free consultation so that we can talk. Let's chat about your healing journey. Join my email list for updates, holistic healing tips, and exclusive intensive sessions. Your healing is happening, and I'm honored to walk this path with you. Remember, you've already survived 100% of your worst days. So until next time, take a deep breath. You're safe here, sis. You're seen, and you are healing.